Welcome to part 3 of learning to play the beloved evening prayer from Engelbert Humperdinck's famous 1893 opera, Hänsel and Gretel. Let's ring on! All right, we're making progress now. I hope that those last few phrases of evening prayer are feeling pretty confident, but if you ever need a refresher, just jump up in the playlist here to check out the earlier tutorials as well as my demonstration of the entire piece. Let's go ahead and jump in now. Where we left off was at the beginning of measure 15 with G5 in the right hand, and we are working backwards from there today. So going back now into measure 14, the last beat is a quarter rest, and then we're going to be up here at D6. And since that G5 was in our right hand, working back then, that would put the D6 in our left hand. I know that there is a little jump here, and it's kind of with the wrong hand, but we do have that quarter rest. It's going to give us plenty of time. As we work backwards from there to beats 2 and 1 with the half note in measure 14, that'll put the E6 in our right hand. And now backing up into measure 13, we have the D6 once again still in our left hand, so this will be a shoulder damp. Backing up to the beginning of beat 4, we have a C sharp 6 in our right, and that repeats again on beat 3. And then continuing back onto beat 2 in measure 13, hey look, it's our friend the D6. It's still in our left hand, so it's still going to be a shoulder damp, and it's the same repeated note in beat 1. So let's go ahead and pick up the D6 in our left hand and the C sharp 6 in our right hand, and we'll take this out of time. So here's beat 1 with the D6 in our left hand. There's beat 1, and we repeat again for beat 2, and then damp on our shoulder as we play the C sharp 6, and here's beat 4. We're going to damp this on the table as we ring the second half of beat 4. There's our D6 in the left, which again is going to be damped on our shoulder. Pick up the E6 and ring that at the top of measure 14. And then beat 2 is nice big arc coming around. And then we've got our D6 again in our left hand for beat 3. Pretty easy passage, and then damp on beat 4. Let's go ahead and reset that again. Take the D6 in our left hand, the C sharp 6 in our right. Out of time this time still. Here we go. Here's beat 1, D6 in the left. Repeat that on beat 2. Damp on our shoulder for the C sharp 6. Repeat the C sharp 6 on the way to the table. And here's the D6, which we damp on our shoulder again as we pick up the E6 and play it at the beginning of measure 14. Nice big arc. Don't forget your good ringing technique. And then finally, D6 in our left and damp on beat 4. Let's try that in tempo. D6 in our left, C sharp 6 in our right. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. One more time. D6 in our left, C sharp 6 in our right. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, off. Good. Now you'll notice that when I am playing that C sharp 6 eighth note on beat 4, I'm actually playing it pretty close to the table down here. That's so that we are ready to jump up to that E. But there is another way that we can attack this. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it this way, but it can be kind of fun. Let's try this with a little 4 in hand. Now before we do this, I want to mention that there are several different ways to do 4 in hand. Each of them has its pros and cons. Some of them are more ergonomic than others. This technique that I'm about to show you is not the most ergonomic way to play a 4 in hand, but it is a very approachable and appropriate way to do it when we just have one quick note to play real quick. I would not use this particular four-in-hand technique for an extended passage because it puts a lot of wear and tear on your wrist. So for this version of four-hand, we're going to take our C-sharp 6 that we would play in our right hand, pick it up, and we'll take the bell icon and face it toward us with the open mouth of the bell to the left. And we're going to set that on top of the E6, just like that. Remember, we're going to play the C-sharp 6 and the E6 with our right hand. We're just not going to have to move the bells around as much. So I take my pointer finger and I'll put that between the handle discs. My thumb is to the left, my three lower fingers are to the right, and I will grasp that. I'm going to turn it over so you can see that. So my pointer finger and middle finger are holding onto the E6. My lower two fingers are kind of just gently wrapped around the D. This is not a hard, grip to all this. It's just enough to hold everything together. If I turn this around now, if I knock on the door, I'll play the E6. And I can damp it up here on my shoulder, or I can damp it on a table. If I turn my hand into a normal ringing position, I can now play the C-sharp 6. And I can damp this on the shoulder, or with a little bit of a twist, I can damp this on the table or on my stomach. All right, so we'll pick it up here in measure 13, out of tempo. D6 is still in our left hand, and the C-sharp 6 is on top of the E6, and both of them are in our right hand. So here's beat 1 with the left hand, and beat 2 with the left again, and we're going to do a normal ring position to play our C sharp. And here's the first eighth note, C sharp. Damp this on our shoulders. We play the D in our left, and then come out and knock on the door for the E. And we have a nice half note here that gives us enough time to come down and damp that on the table as we play the D on beat 3. And we release the E and leave it on the table and go ahead and set the C sharp on the table as well. Let's do that again, this time in time. So we'll take that C sharp 6, place it on top of the E with the bell icon facing yourself. Put our pointer finger between the bell handle discs. Pick the whole thing up, and here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Off. Great! So just to reiterate, you don't need to use four-in-hand for this particular passage. There is plenty of time to move from the C-sharp 6 in your right hand to the E6 in your right hand during that eighth note in measure 13. But this is an opportunity to practice the technique and also to get used to looking for opportunities to use it both in this piece and in other pieces. So now let's go ahead and work our way backwards into measures 12 and 11. And for a moment, let's examine measures 11 and 12 and compare them to measures 13 and 14. We'll notice that they have nearly the same rhythm and a very similar melodic shape. However, in measures 13 and 14, the left hand note that we start on as D6 remains constant throughout the two measures. However, in measure 11, that passage starts with a B flat 5 on beats 1 and 2 and on the and of 4, but then it changes to a B5 natural in measure 12. So the choreography is going to be slightly different. So now let's go ahead and work backwards from measure 13. We had the D6 in our left hand, which puts our B5 natural in our right hand on beat 3 in measure 12. Going back from there puts the C natural 6 accidental in our left hand. Going back now to the and of 4 in 11, remember that our accidentals carry through the bar, so we have a B flat 5 in our right hand. We lead into that with an A5 in our left hand. That's beat 4, and it repeats again on beat 3. And now going back to beats 2 and 1, it's a pair of B flat 5s in our right hand. Let's go ahead and pick up the B flat 5 in our right hand and our A5 in our left hand and take this out of time nice and slow. Here's beat 1, B flat 5, and we'll play that again. And we're going to damp it on our shoulder as we play the A5 in our left. And now we're going to play the A5 again for beat 4, and we're going to damp it on the table as we continue to the B flat 5 on the end of 4. Hop up to the C here to play that on beat 1, and we do need to put the B flat 5 down on the table so that we're ready for beat 3, coming up here with B5 natural, and here's beat 3. And we would put down the C natural and pick up the D now to continue into measure 11. Let's go back and do that again. Measure 11, beat 1, starting with B flat 5 in our right hand and A5 in our left. Here's beat 1, right hand B flat 5. Repeat that. Damp on our shoulders, we play the A5 in our left. We're going to play the A5 again and set it on the table. And here's the and of 4. Come up, pick up the C natural 5 real quick. Play that. And set down the B flat 5 so we can pick up the B natural 5. Play that on beat 3. Set down the C natural 6 so we can play the D6 on beat 1. All right, let's try that in time. Now, if you ever need more time to work through these, because I kind of take it out of time only once or twice, you can always pause. You can even rewind and run it as many times as you need before we go into doing it as an in-time exercise. Here we go. Measure 11 in time, B flat 5 in our right hand, A5 in our left. Here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Good. And make sure that you are very conscientious of that cutoff on the and of 4. Especially if you're playing with a duet partner, you want to have a nice crisp cutoff there on the and of 4. Let's do that again. Measure 11. The B flat 5 is in our right, A5 is in our left, and we will continue all the way through measure 14. Here we are. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Off. How did you do? Okay, I think we can move on now to work back into measures 10 and 9. Okay, so where we just started from at the beginning of measure 11, we had our B flat 5 in our right hand, so that makes having the E5 in our left hand in beat 3 of measure 10, that makes a lot of sense because we're moving downward. We have the left hand, so that'll work great. Working backwards from there to the and of 2, we have F sharp 5 in our right hand. Working back from that, G5 is in our left hand for the top of measure 10. And continuing back now, the beat 4 of measure 9 is G5 again. And then working back into beats 3, 2, and 1 of measure 9, we have A5 in our right hand. Let's take these two bars out of time. Go ahead and pick up A5 in our right hand and G5 in our left. This is going to be pretty easy. Here we are. Here's beat 1 with our right hand, A5. Repeat that again, and repeat that again. And you can damp on your table or the shoulder or whatever because we've got plenty of time when we play the G5 in our left. And we play the G5 again on beat 1 of measure 10. pick up our F sharp 5 for the and of 2, and a quick jump down here to E5 in our left. And we hold that for 2 beats, and real easy now to pick up the B flat 5 for the beginning of measure 11. Great. Let's do those 2 measures again, still out of time, just once more. Here we go, A5 in our right hand and G5 in our left. Here's our beat 1, right hand, beat 2 again, beat 3, beat 4. This time I'll damp on the table just for fun. Here's beat 1, and then the and of 2 is here, and beat 3. Beat 4, we're still arcing around while we pick up our B flat 5, and there's the B flat 5 at the beginning of measure 11. All right, that's pretty easy, isn't it? Let's go ahead and do that in time with A5 in our right hand and G5 in our left. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and put all of that together. But before we do, I want to take a moment to say thank you to Forzando Arts for providing this studio, as well as all of our wonderful instruments, and also to Han Yu, who is one of our producers. She helps make all of this possible, and you can do that too. You don't have to be a producer, just $1 or $2 a month can make a really big difference. Learn how to do that at danielreck.com/buildbetterbrains. There are a variety of different ways to support what we do here. One of those doesn't have to cost anything at all. Ask questions. Jump in the comments below. Tell me what worked. Tell me what didn't work. Make suggestions for something different, or ask a question that I can answer better for you. All right, here we go. Measure 9, beat 1, A5 in our right, G5 in our left, in time, continuing all the way through what we have done today. Here we are. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Off. Hey, there you go. All right, let's see if we can put this together all the way to the end. You ready for this? Measure 9, A5 in our right hand, G5 in our left, and here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, off. How about that? I had a little clink in there. That happens sometimes. Now, of course, when you're practicing, you want to work to make sure you're putting your bells down very carefully so they're not clinking into one another. But at the same time, we are practicing being ready for performance, which means that sometimes we make mistakes and we just need to carry on. So I made a clink, but I didn't go to the audience or freak out or anything. I just practiced being okay with the error. And I made a note of it in my mind so that I could come back and fix that later. I encourage you to work on practicing working through mistakes. Don't always give up. If you pick up a wrong bell and you ring it, try and power through that. Go ahead, play that wrong note like you meant it, and then set it down and see if you can keep going through the passage as if you were in a performance. You would be surprised how many times in performance you can play a wildly wrong note, but if you sell it, your audience, who is not reading the music with you, will go ahead and buy it. So I encourage you to practice being ready for performance. And speaking of being ready for performance, I believe that after the next video in part 4 that we will be ready to perform evening prayer together, all the way from the beginning through to the end. I look forward to you joining me for that. If you wouldn't mind though, please take a moment to visit danielreck.com/buildbetterbrains. Check out all of the other materials that I have for the project, as well as how you can help support making more of these videos. And don't forget to leave comments below with your suggestions and requests for future videos. Thank you so much, and as always, ring on. From Engelbert Humperdinck's famous 1890... Son of a... bit my finger. The last few phrases, even playlist to check out the earlier tutorial. That's all, folks.